Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi. And ladies, welcome to all the women that are joining us. And we're so glad that you're here to be a part of a conversation that the three of us wanted to have. And we want you to trust that you're here today for the right reason. The three of us came together through Sisterhood, and we have found so much value in Sisterhood that we really wanted to just share it with every woman that we've come into contact with. So today we thought we would have a conversation about it so that each of you would hopefully find something in it that resonates for you and be inspired as well. And just so to let you all know that there is this beautiful sisterhood out there and that this exists. And we're here today to share with you our experience with it. So thank you for joining us. Let's just take a moment, ladies, and introduce ourselves so the women watching can get to know who each of us are. I'll start. My name is Carrie Sands, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am a simplicity parenting life coach and a strategic life coach as well. And with my unique trainings, I work with women and moms to help them create more balance through implementing rhythms and rituals in their lives, and also helping them to connect with their true feminine essence so that they feel empowered and inspired as well.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Hi, ladies. My name is Amy Tate. I'm the founder and creator of One Centered Life, which is a company that does a plethora of services for women. Specifically, I lead retreats and I also teach yoga. And I like to bring women together so that we can realize our wholeness through empowering ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, and also really connect with each other and support each other. So as I mentioned, I do yoga, retreats, lead retreats, and also life coaching. Over to you, Elisa.
Thank you. I'm Elisa Sador, and I am the founder of Innately Healed. And I work with women all over the world and a few special men to meet them when they're at a point in their life that I refer to as a tipping point. So when a woman looks around her life and different aspects of her life and realizes that one or more aspects of their life is not fulfilling them the way that they desire to feel, or they're not experiencing as much joy in their lives in a place where they expected to find it. And they're really at a point where they're ready to make change. And they're ready to make change and claim their future with a purpose and a plan. And that's where I like to meet my clients, is at that point when they're really ready to embrace change. And I meet them there with an abundance of tools that I've been collecting over the past 12 years to help them to remember not only the wisdom of the mind, but also the wisdom of the body and the wisdom of the intuition. And so I'm bringing to these life coaching discussions, and also to group programs and yoga classes and different holistic types of classes that I teach, this wealth of tools. And so for the rational mind, that looks like things in the typical life coaching skill sets. So working with mindsets and limiting beliefs. And then for the body, it's more working with energy work, yoga, breathing, and those types of practices. And then for the intuition and tapping into that intuitive wisdom that we're all born with and that we bring into this world with us, and where we're constantly receiving guidance in the direction of what our purpose is. And so tapping into that intuition, and there are lots of ways to do that using creative practices. And so those are the ways that I support and work with my clients. And it's my passion, and that's what I do.
Thank you, Elisa and Amy. So we all do something a bit different from one another, but yet we are here together for a reason, because we've all been connected through sisterhood. So I know each of us have been transformed by sisterhood. So we thought we would talk a little bit about why we were really called to have this conversation today for the women that were watching and for them to witness this. Who would like, Elisa, tell me a little bit about for you, like what was it that really called you to have this conversation?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. It's a great one. So I felt really called to have this discussion with you ladies and to share this conversation with a broader audience, because this is a community that I have recently discovered within the last year. And I have been doing personal development work now for 12 years. And running my own business kind of quietly and by myself in yoga studios and out of my home, and doing a lot of work individually one-on-one. But I felt really called to share because this idea of tapping into the wisdom of women who have come before me and women who are walking beside me, working with their own personal development or bringing their work into the world. It doesn't always have to be business related as an entrepreneur, but also just in our personal lives, that we don't have to be alone, that there are women who have gone through similar experiences as I was going through, as we are going through. And to do that together in community with support and compassion and to know that these women are available and ready and willing to embrace you on your journey, and to support you is something that I did not know existed. And if I had known that it existed years ago, it would have really made a difference in my life. And so I felt like once I truly understood the value of working in a community of conscious women who are really committed to living their best lives, and to making a difference and living in purpose, and that they're willing to do that in a way that is supportive and not competitive. To me, that was so refreshing and something that I just didn't really know existed. And so my why for sharing this is, to make that knowledge available, because I didn't know it existed. And it's made such a difference in my life. And I've seen it make such a difference in the women that I've worked with over the last year in this community. And I want every woman to know that this exists, and that if you're struggling alone, whether it's personally or if you're trying to get your business off the ground and you need support and guidance, there's no reason to do it alone. There is a community that exists that you would belong in. And so, yeah, that is my why. And I'm happy to share this message and say that we exist. And please join us if that resonates.
I would like to piggyback off of that. Elisa, I have definitely a very similar, same experience. I didn't know this type of thing existed. Sisterhood has made such a tremendous impact in my own personal development through being around women who've had similar experiences and seeing kind of the likeness that exists within us, even though we're all different. And also my personal why too, the reason why I'm contributing to this conversation right here, right now, is because I definitely want to spread the word, and I want others who resonate and resemble and look like me to also feel like that they too can be a part of this, and that the bonds of sisterhood, they go beyond, racial, color lines, all those things. I want all of the women who might not necessarily feel like they resonate with a lot of the faces that they see in coaching. I want them to also know that they're welcome, and that that there's a place for them, and that we're all just embraced here. And it's such a beautiful thing. And it's oftentimes maybe those of us who are of multicultural backgrounds, who don't see ourselves represented all of the time, who may feel marginalized, it's not for them, but I want them to know that it's also for them as well.
That's beautiful, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me as well. Like, I feel like I was looking for something at one point in my life and in my coaching business. And when I realized that I can have this support of all these women, I thought it was amazing, like how women can support each other and like hold this loving, nurturing space, and that we can feel empowered by, like just being a woman. Like, to me, that is what I really want so many women to know, that you don't have to be alone. Like, there are all these amazing women out there that aren't in competition with each other, that hold this beautiful space for you to be you, and that it's totally okay for you to be you. Like, you can show up being messy, when we have our not so good days, and not have to judge yourself so harshly for that. Like, it's okay. We have bad days, and it's okay to be there. That's what's going on for you, and be okay with that. And that, I'm not doing my best. It's okay for you to have that rest or to have a bad day, and have all these women support that and honor that this is what we go through, that we do have these ups and downs, and that's totally okay. And to feel so supported with that, and is why I really feel so called to share about sisterhood.
Also, Carrie, to that point as well, it's also okay to take a journey of personal development. And it's so hard to sometimes find that within your day-to-day life. But when you join a sisterhood like this, where we're all focused on that, we have the support and the nurturing to let us know that it's okay to want to achieve more, to want to bring yourself and your business and your self-care to a new level. So it's really important, and that's another tremendous benefit that I've found through sisterhood too, and comfort. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And back to what I was saying before about not having a good day, like, even if you didn't have a good day, that doesn't mean that you don't have gifts to share.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You'll have a lot to bring to the table, and sometimes you just need to rest and nurture that part of yourself so that you can be in your best self and sharing and being of service. So, I know for me, this hasn't, being in sisterhood hasn't always been easy. Like, my first experiences, there certainly were challenges that came up. What was some of the challenges that each of you experienced in sisterhood before you got to this place of really valuing it and loving it?
My biggest challenge for me was really just opening up and being vulnerable, allowing my sisters to, one of you mentioned about being messy, allowing my sisters to see that messy side of me, especially because I do come from a little bit of less underrepresented group. I felt like I had to be an example for African Americans. And so I had to show up in this way where I looked really perfect, or, so that I could win my sisters over and so that they could relate to me. I didn't feel like I could be truly and fully my full self. So it took a whole year of being in community with sisters, and then time after that to really actually open up fully and truthfully and vulnerably. So that was my biggest hurdle. But I can say real quick, if I can just foreshadow, once I did do that, that's where I found all of my healing and the real, true, meaningful bonds of sisterhood with you ladies, is when I was able to fully accept who I was and be able to share that with you ladies. That meant that now that you were able to embrace those sides of me that were messy and that that weren't perfect, whereas before you had no access and no ability at all to care for those sides because you didn't even know they existed. So how could you love my full self of me if you didn't even know who my full person was? So yeah, my biggest hurdle was actually bringing down those walls and letting people in. But once I did, it was like just beautiful.
It's amazing. I had a similar experience too, Amy, personally. And additionally, my biggest challenge really in coming into Sisterhood was that I was coming from a background of having a professional career. I worked in corporate and I had a successful career. And it was one of those experiences where I had climbed the corporate ladder in my own life and looked around, and I had a successful job. I had security. But what I didn't have at that point, and I realized this was a tipping point for me, was that even though I had a lot of success, or it looked like I had a lot of success from the outside, I wasn't feeling that I was fulfilled. I didn't feel like I was living in my purpose. And so that tipping point came for me actually 12 years ago, and I've been on my personal development journey since then. And I've explored a lot of different modalities to really look to shift that focus from externally defining what it is that brought me fulfillment and what my definition of success was, to really shifting that focus internally. And the answers that I found were not so conventional. So the answers that I found as to what made me fulfilled and the work that I felt called to do in the world did not include my MBA. It did not include my background in finance. And so for me, when I came into Sisterhood, my experience was actually that it was a very refreshing and welcoming community of women who heard my business ideas that looked more like, I want to teach a dance class that will help women get in touch with their bodies. I want to teach women how to paint so that they can get in touch with their intuitive wisdom, that they can find what it is that the truth is within their own hearts and what success looks like internally, because that was the journey that I had been on. But I didn't know that that work was going to be a successful business model. And so the people that I had tried to share that with along the way had, with their best intentions, tried to discourage me from throwing away a good career and an education to pursue my hobbies. And so for me, when I came to Sisterhood, it was a completely different experience where I shared my ideas, which I was nervous to do because of the resistance that I had faced before in terms of sharing my ideas and getting feedback, that really caused me to feel like my light needed to be dimmed, or maybe these ideas weren't needed or wanted in the world. And in Sisterhood, when I shared those ideas, they were met with enthusiasm and with support and with collaborative partners. And I realized that, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be my business experience is no longer valid and that education is wasted. That education and experience can fuel bringing my passion into the world. And this sisterhood, these women who were also very successful feminine leaders, and by successful, I mean finding what it is that makes them happy, not financially necessarily, but that women that were all on that same path seeking what brings them joy and happiness, which in my mind is success. These women could see my vision, and which gave me the confidence that I needed to bring my business to the next level. So out of teaching women in my home and in the local yoga studio and small groups, and out into the world where I'm speaking in a public forum about what it is what I do in the world, and how holistic life practices can really heal and support and nurture your well-being on all levels. And to me, that's my work and what's important. And having the sisterhood to reflect that back to me and encourage me, gave me a confidence that I don't know that I would have been able to find on my own. And so that's what it was challenging to get brave enough to join something and to go out there and share these ideas. But the reward has been that I've been fully embraced and supported, and feel more confident than ever that this is the work that I should be doing, that I need to be doing, and that it's also a very valid business model.
I love, Elisa. I love how how much confidence you had over the past year from, coming into this space and to Sisterhood, and just not feeling very unsure about what to do with all this information and these gifts that you had to offer. And after, at this point, feeling so much more confident and excited to put it out there, to me, that's beautiful and what sisterhood, really helps to create is that confidence. So
Yeah. Thank you.
sharing that. For me, what were my challenges? I think a little similar to what Amy was saying. For me, it was about showing up honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I really had a hard time with that, like, because I always felt like I had to be in some ways perfect. If I wasn't being perfect, or if I wasn't walking my talk 24/7, that I was like, I was an imposter, I guess. And I felt really uncomfortable admitting that I had a bad day. So being able to show up honestly was so hard. But the more that I would do it, I would do a little bit here, a little bit there, and the way that my sisters would hold me in this safe container, like, it's okay, like, love yourself, and the way they would give me back reflections, and I slowly started to let down that guard that I had to show up in a certain way. But at some point I realized I didn't have to show up anyway, but the way that I was. Mm-hmm. God, what a relief that is. It just makes you feel so much lighter. Mm-hmm. It just makes things feel easier too. It brings that clarity to what you want to do and who you want to, share your gifts with. But I have to say, for me, that was not always easy to do. So I would say that was probably my biggest challenge with Sisterhood, which is not there anymore.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So I know each of you kind of shared a bit about, well, we all did, really, about how Sisterhood has changed us, but I thought maybe we could speak to that question a little bit more. So, Amy, we want to talk a little bit about, like, how Sisterhood has changed you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's like you said, now I'm showing up a lot more authentically. And I think it's allowed me and empowered me to really embrace myself holistically. So all parts of myself. So I can now show up just a much more potent version of myself. All of my energy is now collected because I'm not wasting any of it, like trying to hide secrets or, anything like that. And it's also just afforded me a network of women as well who are of like mind and are also looking to really just grow themselves, personal development wise. So I know that we're just always wanting to uplift each other. So whether it's through me looking for new growth and positive enlightenment and personal development, or whether it's supporting another sister doing something that she's doing, I know I can just always kind of really tap into the community to be supported. So it's like you said also, Carrie, I think I don't have to do these things alone anymore.
Yes. How about for you, Elisa?
Yeah, so for me, it's all of that, Amy. Not having to work alone resonates with me really, really powerfully because, I was doing this work for years alone. And now I know that there's a community that exists that goes beyond just the women that I took this class with to get into the Sisterhood, which is Mentor Masterclass. There were 50 women in the class that I started with, and to just be aware that there are women working all over the country, all over the world really, who are looking at feminine leadership in a different way and shifting out of this idea that we need to strive and compete and work hard and that work has to be difficult, right? All these beliefs that I used to have, growing up in the traditional way and going through business school, that it doesn't have to be hard, that we don't have to strive, that there are women all over the country in pockets that are working together to bring their own unique talents into the world and to make a living at it so that they can support their families, and do work at the same time that really is fulfilling and makes a difference. And this was the most powerful realization to me, because there's this network that goes just so far beyond just the class that we're in now, to all of the classes that have come before us, to all of the sisters that we meet in our collective collaborations and through different retreats and wherever we're meeting each other on our paths. There's this energy or this vibration that we've talked about, that we're all rising together and we're changing what it means to be feminine business leaders, or feminine leaders in our own lives, even if it's not business-wise, being feminine leaders in our homes as mothers and as wives. And this vibration, this collective support and the collective wisdom that these women are readily sharing, to me has been the most powerful thing. And there's so much support available that, to me, it's been so life-changing, and it's so encouraging, and it gives me so much hope that we can do amazing things in the world together. And so, yeah, that's been, I originally got into the sisterhood by signing up for this class called Mentor Masterclass, to become a life coach and to get these skills, how to launch my business with more support. But what I found was a support network that goes far beyond that, and just opened my mind up to so many different opportunities and so much potential. And so tapping into all that potential, to me, and knowing how much more untapped potential is out there, is, again, coming back to the reason why we're sharing and why we want to include more women into this community. But this is what, I've gotten out of sisterhood. And I think that was the question. What did I get out of sisterhood? It's like huge. It feels really big and hard to put into words. So I hope I did that justice.
Absolutely. And while you're talking, I was thinking about that confidence that you were speaking about. And I was like, yeah, that's right. I could say that too. Like, I feel like through my sisters, I began to believe that I was a queen, and that it was important for me to honor what was going on for me with my body, and that was my needs were of value. Like, I needed to honor that and place value on it, so that I can be good for all the people around me, whether it was my family, my friendships, or the people that I serve. Like, I needed to take care of myself and be in a good place. So I learned how to do that through my sisters, where before I didn't honor that part of myself. So I feel like that's really what changed for me in my life. And also being at retreat with my sisters, wow, that was, just having that in-person connection, like connecting all year long, and then being in person and, connecting with some new sisters as well. Just, it was like, I don't know how to say it, maybe like our virtual sisterhood on steroids,
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, like we hold space for each other in this virtual world, but in this, space, in person, I've never felt so loved and held and supported by a group of women in my entire life. I know I'm very loved by my family and the women in my life, but that kind of support and holding that was taking place among the sisterhood is just life-changing. You do walk away feeling empowered, that you can bring your gifts to the world. And I learned that you don't have to do it alone. It was huge. Like, I could do, no matter what I do, I have the support of my sisters in multiple ways, like whether it's just asking them for some reflections, maybe it's just having, a little bit of feedback or maybe I just want some hugs and love, to build myself up. And I can ask that of my sisters. And for me, also asking for what I need, it was huge as well. Being able to ask for it and then being open to receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like all those things have changed my life so much. And yeah, like you, Elisa, like that's why I'm here and want to shout it out. I know my voice isn't very clear today, but I do want so many women to know that this exists among women.
I think also all of us spoke about not having to do this alone, but we didn't put into words about the lone warrior mentality, and that's certainly previously what the how I was operating. And the lone warrior mentality is basically thinking that kind of like you're great, but maybe, yeah, that you can do everything on your own. And what I found in the sisterhood too is like there's really only a maximum degree or level of things that you can accomplish on your own, and you really do need the help of others in order to achieve more and or achieve more faster. So it's so of benefit to have like people who have the same mentality and like mind and understanding about the power of collaboration to network and lean on and collaborate with.
Yeah, I love that, Amy. And I'm thinking about also how that idea of receiving, that's been something that I've, as I've worked with all of these new relationships this year and learning more about asking for support and being open to receive it, I feel like that's an area where a lot of women, could benefit from. There's a lot there, I can speak for myself. So I was not as open to receiving support as I thought that I was until I really looked at it this year. And to be able to ask for specifically the support I need from whoever it is. If it's my children, my husband, my mom, a colleague, but to be able to articulate what support I need and then be open to receiving it was a very powerful shift for me. And that's probably the biggest thing personally that I've gained, through this past year and to really learning about sisterhood is being able to receive support and how wonderful it feels to not be denying myself that because I think I can do it all on my own. So the support has always been there, but whether or not I've been open to letting it in is a different story, right? So now I really work to make sure that where there is support around me, that I'm asking for it and letting it in. And it's really an equal energy exchange. I give and I receive. It's not just I give and deplete myself, but I give and I receive. And it's, to me, that was an aha moment that I had this year, and it was a beautiful one.
Yeah, Elisa, I want to highlight what you're talking about, like the relationships and how our relationship changed from this experience as well, because we learn how to be in relation to other people in a different way. Being able to show up as yourself more, like to take off that mask and be, yourself, shifts relationships as well. When you can come to it with more presence. I know even, with my own family, my husband, my children, but also my friendships, like the way I would have handled things differently, I handle in a much different way, from my experiences and what I've learned and being in this kind of, in this community, this culture of sisterhood and what we've learned and how we treat ourselves and other people. So, maybe we should tell the ladies a little bit about how we all came together, like how we connected.
Yeah.
We've been sharing that we've connected through the sisterhood. So maybe we'll share just a little bit about that as well so they understand what we're talking about.
Sure. I can talk about that a little if you want, Carrie.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so, and maybe define a little bit what we're talking about with the sisterhood and all these sisters, right? Who are all these sisters? So we all came together in Janine Yoder's Mentor Masterclass. And Carrie and I came together. We joined at the same time last February, so we're still actually in the class, and we're graduating in the beginning of next year. And it's an all-in life coaching program, and it's designed to provide you with all of the tools and techniques you need to be a successful life coach. And the program delivers on that with so much information and so many resources. But the more, and she also discusses that sisterhood is a big part of the program. But for me, that was a surprise sort of coming into it, how big of a part the sisterhood is. And yes, the tools and techniques are powerful, and it's a wealth of information, but this sisterhood is basically everyone else in the program, everyone else in Mentor Masterclass, and how we support each other. And there's a structure to how she sets it up, so that we meet weekly with a smaller group of women, we have a large group. There's about 50 of us, I think, in the bigger Facebook group and on our weekly calls. And then we get paired up one-on-one to work with individual sisters to walk our talk and to practice the coaching on ourselves and each other. And so this is the sisterhood we speak of. And it is also, as we've gone through the program and gotten to know Janine Yoder a bit better, you know, there's also this, the sisterhood extends beyond the class, as I was saying earlier. So Amy was actually, for example, in the class a year before us, before Carrie and I. So we didn't meet Amy until just recently at the Captivating Feminine Leadership Retreat, which was in October. And we met Amy at that point, and she was from a prior graduating class. But because she spoke our language and she had been involved in this culture that Janine's created, you know, she blended in seamlessly with our group. And quite honestly, you know, she might as well have been in the class that Carrie and I were in, because the connection was just there. And so that's the sisterhood that crosses over through all of the previous classes with all of the women that are now alumni. And there are 5, I think Janine's run it for 5 years now. She's launching it again the beginning of 2018. And so that's a 6th class of women. And so this sisterhood expands through that whole community, and then anywhere else through the country where there are women doing similar work. This is
through the world.
Yeah, right, and through the world. And so it's not just in this class. This is how we met through Mentor Masterclass, but this idea of sisterhood is being talked about, and feminine leadership is being talked about in many circles. And so yeah, so that's a little bit about how we all came together and got to know each other, and what we mean when we're talking about this sisterhood and the collective wisdom that we feel a part of now.
Yeah. And that culture that you speak of, like this is what we've gained from our experience at Mentor Masterclass, and this is what we bring into our work as well with the,
right,
you know, and people that we serve as well,
right,
in our lives with our families and, you know, our other relationships as well. So great. Ladies, do we want to talk maybe just a little bit before we end our conversation today, maybe some sort of wisdom or memorable thing that you want to share, memorable events that you want to share with the women from your journey of sisterhood and getting to this place where you value it so highly?
I do want to say one thing. It kind of piggybacks off of what Elisa was just saying about the culture of sisterhood that expands like throughout the classes and, you know, through time or in space or whatever. But the one thing that is super important that I think all sisters need to keep in mind while trying to embark on the journey of sisterhood is that you do have to show up. So what I mean by that is like what Elisa was saying is that we all met at the retreat, and I had the mindset and I had the culture already. And I wasn't a part of the class that Carrie and Elisa are a part of now. And what I had to do in order to really make the sisterhood official between myself and these new sisters was bring myself in my wholeness, in my completeness, fully show up and really engage. So I had to, you know, look within myself and be present and try and give 100%. So that's even the case, like when I was in Mentor Masterclass, how come I feel like my sisterhood journey was a little bit delayed because at that time I wasn't in the mindset or in the space where I was fully 100% showing up. So that's a really important thing. And in order to get the most out of the sisterhood, it's imperative that one does look within and honestly show up. So that's my tip about sisterhood. You're muted. Okay.
How about you, Elisa? Any wisdom that you want to share that you gained, or a memorable experience that you want to share?
Yeah, so I was just listening to Amy, and I loved that. I loved that insight. And what's coming up for me right now is that it just seems critical to me now to share this message that there is this community out there, whether it's through mentor masterclass or reaching out to one of us ladies, or some other way of getting yourself supported by women who are like-minded, that the time for us to be dimming our lights is over. The time for us to be suffering or struggling in silence is over. Like, the time for us to step into our full potential and do what we desire to do, whether that's in our personal lives, in the careers that we already have, or starting something new. It doesn't matter where you are on that spectrum. But this, the idea that, you know, we are dimming our lights and not reaching our full potential, to me, it's just, the time is over. The support is there. There's so many hands that are willing to help you rise up and to do whatever it is you want to do in your life. And to me, that's the most valuable lesson, because, you know, it takes a special kind of person, I think, to be able to get to that on their own and to do it in silence. And, you know, what I've been able to witness over this past year is that the women that I see who are really succeeding, they are no different than you and I. They have their imperfections and their good days and their bad days, but they are committed and devoted to continuing to try and to continuing to open themselves to more support and more wisdom and achieving their dreams, whatever the perceived challenges may be. And then it's a lot easier in community than it is alone. So I feel like that's the most valuable thing I learned, and something that I wish that I had learned a lot earlier.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that as well for myself in terms of getting support. For me, this has been a huge year of support, so much so that I love the word support. Like, it's just, I just love it. You need to, for me, what I've learned is you need to lean in for it. Like what Amy was saying, like, you have to ask for what you need. Nobody's gonna, you know, working with clients and many couples over there, it's like nobody's gonna mind read you. You need to ask for support, but you have to believe that you are that you're worthy of that support as well, and you are. And I feel like for me, being in the sisterhood, I learned that I am worthy of it, with all my imperfections, and that I'm worthy of receiving support, and that I need support, that I don't need to do this alone, because by doing it alone, I wear myself out. I wear myself thin. I deplete myself, and I don't have the energy that I need to be the best that I can for the people around me, whether it's my family, my children, or the people that I serve. So I learned that having support is very important, and asking for it, and then, you know, making sure that you're open to receiving that support. So I learned how to do that. And it's not always easy, but when I'm with my sisters, they remind me of that all the time. I am worthy of that I need that, and it's okay to ask for it.
Yeah, I have one more thing I just want to, that you just made me think of. And so yes, all of that, Carrie. And then also, the other thing that has been a bit of a shift, and something that I was so happy to see in this community, because it's something that I believed in for a long time. But to actually see other people believing in it and seeing it in action, is that we do not need to compete with one another to be successful. That each one of us, even if, you know, we're all yoga teachers, or we all are life coaches, or we all are moms, or whatever, you know, whatever label it is, we all bring to our offerings or our relationships our own unique perspective. And we all have unique gifts to share. And each one of us has the opportunity to thrive in an environment that is not competitive, but rather collaborative. And that there doesn't need to be fear around that, or any thinking that there isn't enough, or lack mentality, and some of those terms you've heard. But to see it actually really live playing out in businesses and in households and in relationships that I see and witness on a regular basis is a beautiful, beautiful example to follow, and to see that it really truly works. And the more we all listen intuitively to what it is that we feel called to do, and we listen to that real truth of what it is in our hearts, that we will be successful. And to not have to do it anybody else's way or in competition, that there's room for everybody. And so that has been a beautiful observation, that I've been able to see a lot of that talk and a lot of the things you hear, but to actually see it in practice has been really beautiful to witness and to experience. And so I just wanted to share that too.
That's been beautiful to experience. Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling that.
I know, ladies, that the three of us are so grateful to have had this connection together in the same sisterhood, and to experience these things together, and now being connected and working together. You know, this is the beauty of it, to have each other support. And I mean, look at you guys are amazing. So I'm so lucky to have you guys in my life. And I know that the women that are watching, you know, that there's times when you might feel like you're alone, or there's something that you really want and you just find yourself not getting there. And if having a sisterhood, like we described, sounds like something that you want, we would like to invite you to learn more about it by clicking the link below. And that is all our conversation today, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Elisa and Amy, for our conversation today. I always enjoy talking with you too.
Thank you. And it was so amazing to have you host us, and amazing to have you in our lives too, Carrie. So thank you so much. Do we want to just share how to get in touch with one another before we close? So if anybody wants to reach out to any one of us, I know, Carrie, do you want to start?
Sure. I can be reached through my website, carriesands.com, or Facebook, Carrie Sands, Coach and Therapist, and my email is carrie@couplesandfamilies.com, and is spelled out.
Beautiful. And I'm Elisa Sador, and you can find me at innatelyhealed.com. That's my website. You can also email me directly at info@innatelyhealed.com. And you can also find me on Facebook. And my name is Elisa Sador. It's ELISSA, and the last name is SYDOR. And I have an Innately Healed page out there on Facebook. So that's how you can get a hold of me. And Amy?
Ladies, I'm at, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My Instagram handle is One Centered Life with underscores in between the words. So one_centered_life. I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/onecenteredlife, no underscores. You can also reach me at my email. My email is amy@onecenteredlife.com. And lastly, my website is onecenteredlife.com.
Awesome. And to the ladies watching, again, click the link below to find out more information about how to be part of a sisterhood. Thank you for listening to us. And Lisa and Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Bye, ladies.